Welcome back to the channel. Today I've got something a little bit different planned. We're going to be going on a field trip, and I figured I'd have you riding shotgun with me and Toby. First, we're going to head into the state recreation office. I got some questions about some land that I've been camping on in the past. According to the current county maps, it looks like the property, it's been sold and is not part of the state forest recreation area anymore. We're going to go check, find out for sure. If we get the green light, we're going to head out there and see if we can find some potential camping spots. But that's not all, because after that, we're going to be heading out to the site of an old mine. And some of the tragic things that happened at this mine pit changed the safety regulations in the mining industry forever. So sit back and relax. I'll take care of the driving. Toby's going to be the tour guide. All you got to do is enjoy the ride. I've had a few people asking me about the Rearview camera now. I had it installed for almost 3 months. A couple of people want to know how I'm liking it. It's the Wolfbox G900 Pro. I guess what I really like about the camera is it just works. I can always see what's behind me, night or day. Having this big camper on, I've got blind spots everywhere. Even with my side mirrors completely extended, I still can't see what's behind me. So without having a good Rearview camera, it's just dangerous driving down the road. One of the questions that I get asked often about this camera system down in the comments is, how did I mount the camera? Because with a truck camper, it can go in or out of the truck. So then how do we disconnect the camera? Let me show you what I did. This should be a good spot to pull over. Wolfbox does provide you with all of the cables, the fuse taps, everything needed to do the install. It was really easy, it took me probably 45 minutes. And I just mounted the camera right on the back of the camper, double-sided tape. No holes, no screws. It's IP68 rated, so dust-proof, water-resistant. To disconnect it, I open up this door, disconnect the camera, 10 seconds, camper's ready to come off. You could always pick up a second camera from Wolfbox as well, mount one on the truck, one on the camper, and then if the camper comes out, you just swap those connections. What I'll do is put a link for the G900 down in the comments. Also, pin a description if I can get a discount code for you. I want to thank Wolfbox. It's their anniversary this month. They've been a supporter of the channel, so I really appreciate that. Let's get back on to the adventure. Here we are. Well, let's see what they say. Well, it's pretty much exactly what we expected. That is unfortunate. This has to be one of the most beautiful spots, and I completely understand why it had to be closed down. And it's not the state's fault. It's that 1% of people, not even that, like 0.01% of people that just don't get that when they throw their trash out on these public lands, eventually these lands are gonna get shut down. We're gonna need probably a dump trailer, a skid loader. There's a lot of trash here. I don't know. Would you stay here? I think I'm gonna. This place is just screaming for a campfire and someone to use it how it was intended. I worry though that if a conservation officer comes back here, gates are gonna go up and no one's gonna be using this place. Oddly enough, I'm not finding a lot of drug paraphernalia, burner phones, but no needles. One lightly used cooler for sale. You can hit me up through my email. It's in the video description. Tomorrow morning when we step out of the camper with a hot cup of coffee, it should be a beautiful view. And I'll show you what these sites look like up here. Much, much better. I'm just glad that I was able to come out here and make a few videos over the last few years. At least we always got that. Oh, let's get on the road. This might sound a little weird, but cleaning this place up almost gives you a sense of ownership. Otherwise, you're just coming in here and using it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be able to clean this whole place up. At least when I walk out of the back of the camper tonight, it's not going to feel like I'm camping in a junkyard. The good news is you can still find some nice campsites. This one doesn't have any trash other than, well, a bit of toilet paper in the fire ring. But check out the views. I mean, this is just absolutely stunning. If there's one positive thing that you can take away from this, it's just knowing that it's only going to be a few years for Mother Nature to take that whole area back. Hopefully, you won't even know that there were people out there using it as a landfill or a dumping ground. Well, now Toby and I are going to be bringing you out to the site of an old mine pit where the history runs really deep. The Milford Memorial Park is the site of one of Minnesota's worst mining disasters. Gonna be ready to go for a walk, buddy? Let's go. February 5th, 1924 began like any other day for the 48 miners working underground at the Milford Mine north of Crosby. The miners were looking forward to the end of their day at 4 o'clock, but at 3:45 the unthinkable happened. Nearby Foley Lake broke into the mine. They do a really good job of telling the history of this place. If you're ever up around Crosby or Ironton, Minnesota, I definitely suggest checking it out. The drift where the mining was taking place was 175 feet below ground, ran horizontal for another 2,000 feet. All of a sudden, there was a wind through the tunnels, and it blew out the miners' headlamps. They lit them, again they blew out. The miners near the shaft to the surface saw water and mud rushing towards them. There were 6 miners at the 175-foot level who scrambled up 40 feet to the 135-foot vertical shaft. Of the 48 miners working that day, only 7 made it to safety. It took about 15 minutes for the mine to fill with mud and water. Here's the site of the old mine shaft. People from all over the Cuyuna Range recall the sirens that day. Each mine had a siren, the towns had sirens, and the trains sounded their whistles. They blew continuously for over an hour, sending chills through the community. The mining companies worked to pump out the mud and water, but it took until November for the last body to be recovered. Sometimes you can feel the energy of these places. It's like you go back in history 100 years and you can still feel the uneasiness that surrounds it. Even though today, it's just silent here. A lot of building foundations still remain out here as well. Right now we're on the dry house, and this is the area where the miners would have came at the end of their shifts, taken off all their wet clothing, put them on chains and hooks, and they lifted them up to the rafters, and there'd be a ventilation system in here that would dry everything out for the next time they come on shift. It's so cool that they kept all of this history intact out here. This is the engine house, or a hoist house, and it's where they kept the air compressors and engines to lower the head frame unit, and that's what carried the miners down into the shaft, and it also supplied air for the tools that they would be using down there. The mine shaft is just right down that hill right there. There's a couple of foundations that they don't know what they were. They try to look back at the pictures that they had, but they can't identify everything. This foundation is kind of cool. They don't know exactly what it is. It's concrete on one side and dirt on the other. They're figuring it's the blacksmith shop, just because there's so much coal left on this floor. If you listen really closely, you can hear them pounding on the steel. They did have housing on site for miners and their families. It was $5 a month to rent a house. And then there was also a boarding room for the single guys. Not much remains of those structures. There's one root cellar. Other than that, you'd never know that there was houses here. By 1929, they had all the houses gone. It's surprising how close Foley Lake is to the mine, and it wasn't too far offshore where the lake bottom let out and filled the mine shafts with water. The Milford Mine tragedy affected the entire community. 41 miners lost their lives that afternoon. 38 women lost their husbands. 83 children lost their fathers. It was the worst mining disaster in Minnesota's history. The walkway and the county park are dedicated to the Milford miners, their families and their descendants, who worked, suffered, and sacrificed to provide for their families and build their community. Well, I really want to thank you for hanging out with Toby and me today. I find a little bit more motivation when I have a friend to walk along the trails with. Toby and I are going to head out. We're going to go camping tomorrow, and that'll be on Tuesday's video. So, until next week, until Tuesday, be kind and be honest. We'll see you down the road. Good boy. Are you driving? I didn't think so.